So I guess we can go ahead and get started. My name is Cody Farzad. I am the Director of Operations for Employers Choice Online. You do see my email address there. So if you have any questions at all regarding the webinar, topics that you want maybe us to discuss, you want to get signed up for our newsletter, please email me at any time. I'm very good at getting back within the day. So please go ahead and use that feature. So basically what my duties are, I'm responsible for educating employers, clients on state and federal compliance issues. Also feel like I'm an expert on the best practices regarding our industry, and an in-house expert on the FCRA. And the FCRA, of course, is the Fair Credit Reporting Act, which is a federal law that basically governs what background screening companies can and can't report on a background check. And also keep in mind there are certain states out there that have their own laws governing employment background checks, kind of their own mini FCRA. Of course, here's our disclaimer. Any of the information here shouldn't be construed as legal advice. Of course, we recommend you consult with your labor or employment attorney with any questions you have, especially dealing with the topic today, which is substance abuse testing. What we'll learn. Today we're going to learn important statistics regarding employee substance abuse. They're pretty shocking, pretty staggering, and of course they are rising as the economy is in its current status. A lot of people are getting desperate. And pressure on getting a job, and that kind of leads to drug abuse, vices that they're taking to pass time. We'll also talk about the permissible purpose employers have to screen their applicants or current employees. We'll also talk about different types of drug tests, different panel tests that employers can do on their applicants, and different specimen types, how you can administer a drug test or a substance abuse test. We'll talk about chain of custody forms. These are basically the authorization forms needed by the labs to perform a substance abuse screening. We'll talk about turnaround times on getting positive and negative results, hopefully all negative. And we will talk about once an employer receives a positive test and the MRO or medical review officer process. And then we'll finish with myths regarding drug tests. And if there is anyone here that joined the presentation late, any questions that you have, we'll spend about 15 minutes at the end of the presentation to go over. Utilize the chat feature to type out any of your questions as we go along the presentation. You could also email me any questions that you have. I will try my best to answer them. If I do not have an answer, I don't want to give you the wrong answer, I'll definitely research it after the presentation and get back to you in a timely manner. Okay, important statistics regarding employee substance abuse. It's reported that 10 to 20% workplace accidents are contributed to substance abuse. That's pretty staggering. That is a large number, especially if you're a small business. More than 14% of U.S. employees report heavy drinking. That's more than 5 drinks during their work week. That may not seem like a lot, but again, it's still frequent enough that they can maybe have a problem getting up in the morning, functioning at 100% capacity, and giving all that they can for your company. Also, employees who abuse drugs are 2.2 times more likely to request early dismissal or time off. And of course, that does limit productivity. Somebody else has to pick up the slack, and your workflow basically suffers. And here, that's why it says the decrease of productivity from intoxicated, absent, and tardy employees represent a significant annual financial loss for employers. So if you're a small company that employ, 10, 12 people, and you have somebody that's calling out regularly or asking to leave early, the work still needs to get done, and you could see how productivity can decrease, which in turn won't keep your customers happy, and you may lose some customers and lose from your bottom line. Okay, when to drug test employees, permissible purpose. Pre-employment, you can drug test your applicants before an offer of employment is made, or you can test them after an offer of employment is made contingent on passing the drug screening. That's mainly the main purpose employers do drug testing. Post-accident, time is of the essence. So if an accident was done either on company property or in a company vehicle, I know some companies have a policy that states if the accident was over a certain dollar amount, then they want to conduct a drug test on person. My advice is, any accident that's done on your facility, at a client's facility, company vehicle, and you feel that substance abuse may have been the cause of it, I definitely recommend drug testing that employee. A retest. Sometimes we do get a negative dilute or a temperature out of range, and I'll go into more detail on what a negative dilute test is. Basically, it's not that it's negative and it's not that it's positive. So our recommendation would be to retest the employee and definitely retest them in a timely manner. Another reason employers may conduct drug testing is for a promotion or pay increase. Just like you can conduct a regular background check on someone that you're going to be promoting or giving more responsibility to, you could also drug test them. And that should be part of your drug screening policy. We won't touch too much on a drug screening policy, very, very specific to companies. That's a whole other webinar in itself. But like the disclaimer said, please consult your labor or employment law attorney if you have any questions on testing employees for substance abuse. Reasonable suspicion or for cause. This is, if you have any inkling that a person may be under the influence of substance abuse while on company time, you may find paraphernalia in a break area. They're just moving very slow, or they're very hyper. Their mood is out of the ordinary. Maybe you have smell and odor of alcohol or drugs on them. So anytime you have reasonable suspicion, I don't know why I'm having trouble with that word this morning, or for cause, then definitely we recommend drug testing. So definitely, take a look at your employee. If they are acting out of the norm, and it could be that they have personal issues going on, but I think all of us know when an employee is acting out of the norm. You could also do random drug testing. This is big with logistics or transportation companies. DOT does require companies to do or have a random drug screening policy in place. Again, consult with your employment law attorney on any kind of constraints or limitations in implementing a random drug screening policy. But we do recommend, especially for positions that are going to be covered under the DOT, to definitely have a random drug screening policy in place. Next one is follow-up. This would be if you had an employee test positive and you feel that they should deserve a second chance, you feel that maybe it was something out of their control, they give you a good explanation. For whatever reason, you want to do a follow-up. So you could say that their continued employment will be contingent on a drug test that will be conducted within the next week. So it would be a follow-up test. Or return to duty. If they've been on a leave of absence or out on workers' comp, hasn't been working in a long period of time or a short period of time, and you want to drug test them before they're allowed back through your doors to perform any of their duties, definitely recommend drug testing anyone that's going to be coming back from either a leave of absence or a workers' comp issue. And I have a little asterisk stating that substance abuse testing provided by a background screening company is considered an investigative consumer report and really should be treated as such. Therefore, a signed disclosure and authorization form must be completed by the person that you want to screen before you send them out to the lab to get tested. Also, I have here the pre-adverse adverse action process. Hopefully all of you know what the pre-adverse adverse action process is. If you don't, real quick, it's the basically the applicant dispute process. So if you decide not to hire somebody based on either a drug screening or background check, they have the opportunity to dispute any of the information with the background screening company. Obviously, with drug testing, it's pretty black and white. An MRO interview is conducted between the applicant and a medical doctor before the results are reported, and I'll go through that a little bit later. But since drug testing does fall under an investigative consumer report, you have to treat it as a regular background check. Signed disclosure form, FCRA summary of rights given to them, and then of course you get a positive test, you decide not to hire them, then you must deliver the pre-adverse adverse action because you are making an employment decision based on the background check.